Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. I have another exciting video for everybody, and what we're going to be talking about in this video is the process of self-correction. So with the process of self-correction, this is going a lot more deeper and is going to help you as an aid for those who are just looking to begin their own inner path, their inner path of healing, their inner path of realization, their inner path of clarity. In this video, we're basically just starting from the beginning. We're starting from the top. So let's take a look at that. The process of self-correction. What is the very first thing that we want to be aware of as we're moving into self-correction? Well, to look into the nature of self-correction, to even use it, we have to look at our regrets. We have to look at our traumas. We have to look into our conflicts. So I did a previous video, not too long ago, about regrets and how I gave my own definition about what regrets represent. And that regrets represent the inability to heal a problem. That's all regrets are. If we are unable to heal a problem, we'll continue to be haunted by that problem again and again, over and over and over again, even if it takes years, even if there are other incarnations that follow. What we are not able to resolve will continue to persist. So you want to be aware of your regrets, of your traumas, and of your conflicts. And of course, the BCR technique helps you with this. It is a guide, it is a platform, it is an aid that can help you. Working with BCR. So, why is this important? Why do we need to start here? Well, when we're looking at the regrets, when we're looking at our traumas, when we are looking at our conflicts, what prevents us from actually seeing that these are here is denial. So we have denial because we're in fear of looking at these faults within ourselves because they are being covered up by our ignorance. And this is why those regrets and those traumas and those conflicts persist. We are in denial of them because we're afraid to look into our faults. We're afraid to look into our errors. We're afraid to look into our insecurities. And we shelter them with the ignorance. Oh no, I'm okay. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. I'll be all right. I'll be fine. No, there's nothing like that happening. I'm going to be okay. Everything will be just rainbows and whiskers on kittens, I promise. So we fall deeper and deeper into making these regrets, these traumas, these conflicts stronger because we deny them, because we're afraid of them, and we want to veil them with ignorance. We want to try and numb them. It's like the traditional pharmaceutical medication. Traditional pharmaceutical medication really just helps to numb the problem. It's making you feel numb inside. Well, that's what we're doing here on an emotional and mental level. We're making ourselves numb, number, and numbest. Denial, fear, and ignorance. If you truly want to work with liberating yourself, to be completely free of the pain and the suffering that you go through, this needs to be embraced. This needs to be realized. This needs to be clarified. So that we are now aware, yes, I have regrets. Because when I talk to a lot of people, when I notice that there's some challenges they're going through. Oh yeah, that's okay. It's all right. I mean, I just went through this and, I learned from the process. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you haven't. Because you're still going around the loop-de-loop. You're still that hamster on the wheel, turning the wheel. Yeah, but it's no big deal. It's just a minor thing. No. When it comes to regrets, when it comes to traumas, when it comes to conflicts, there is nothing minor. There is nothing minor about that. That is there. And you have to get it through yourself that as long as we continue to feed this, you are going to make yourself worse. You are going to put yourself through greater states of numbness. You are going to feel your body starting to get more and more numb as we continue to just push the regrets and the traumas and the conflicts and just shove them under the rug and try to imagine that they're not there. But then we get triggered. Then somebody says something. We get upset. And now we just have an episode. We blow up. Because when we're looking into denial, well, denial comes together through lies. We're lying. No, nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing bad has happened to me. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. Lie. Right? So when you're working with denial, it's all about lies that are trying to cover up what you know you are feeling inside that is so painful, hurtful, and causing you suffering. When we're looking at fear, right? We're afraid. We're fear because we're truly afraid of the truth. And so, because we're afraid, we try to use this to cover up the truth. I'm afraid and I don't want this to be out there. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to try to admit to myself that this has actually happened. I'm going to just live in denial because I'm afraid of the truth. And then we get ignorance. Because ignorance represents a shelter. It's a band-aid. It's a crutch. It's pretend. Pretending to be okay. All of this is lies. All of this is fear from the truth. All of this is a shelter and a crutch, trying to tell yourself that you're okay. You're not. Why do you think you get triggered when somebody mentions something in relationship to the regret, the trauma, and the conflict? You're triggered by that. You're set off by that because you're trying to bury it. So, what self-correction entails is honesty. It's being open, it's being honest, so that realization can come to you. So we have to be very transparent about the regrets and the traumas and the conflicts that we hold, so that we can now begin the process of self-correction. So now that we move past the regrets, the traumas, the conflicts, the RTC, as I'll call it, we get past the RTC. Now we're going to move into the actual self-correction process. And what, of course, does that entail when it comes to self-correction? What self-correction is admitting the problem. You are admitting your problem. You are coming to terms with it. You are facing it. You are confronting your issue. And to some, that just brings them into a cold sweat. Oh, but Brad, you don't know what I did. It was so horrifying. It was so horrible. I don't want to have to think about it again. Well, like I said, we have to get to number one here. We have to be aware of our regrets, of our traumas, of our conflicts. We have to be aware of the RTC. So as we are aware of it, now we can go into the self-correction process. We have to admit it. Brad, it's so horrible, it's so horrible, it's so horrible. And then they start crying. Great. I'm happy that you're crying. I'm happy that you're upset about it. I'm happy that you're angry. I'm happy that you're sad. That's it. That's part of the process with self-correction. We have to feel it. You got to feel where you feel your problem has stemmed from. You have to see it for what it is. And that's all I say to people is just look at your problem. Just look at the issue. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to pretend it's not there. Don't try to deny it. Don't be in fear of it. Don't try to blanket ignorance over it. Don't pretend to be okay when you're not. Honesty. This is honesty and openness. And so, give them time. Just give them time to process this. And that's a big part of it. Admitting your problem, process, that is the second stage when we're coming to part 2 here. You want to admit your problem and you want to process. However that needs to happen. That may be spending all night in tears. That may spend all night in grief. That may spend all night in upsetness, in anger and aggression. So be it. If that's what it takes to process your problem, that is exactly what you do. Because again, a lot of the things that we hold on to are very impactful, regardless if people say, oh, Brad, it's just a minor thing. It's just a little thing. No, not a minor thing. It's not a little thing. Because when I see you process it, it's not very little. You react. You go through the processing so that you can now admit to yourself, yes, this has happened. Yes, I have this problem. Yes, this has taken place. Now, what can I do to resolve it? Okay. Well, what we can do to resolve it is after we've admitted our problem, after we've processed the problem, now we move into the third step, which is actually beginning the self-correction process. And what does that entail? Correcting where you feel you have failed. Correcting where you feel you have failed. That's really it. Because we don't look at a trauma and saying, oh my God, I succeeded. I'm victorious. No, I failed. I failed to look at this. I failed to see this. I failed to realize that this needed to happen. And we just keep giving ourselves sucker punches. Because we're constantly looking at our failure. I feel like such a fail. I feel like the stupidest person ever. I feel like the most ignorant person ever because I failed of this. This failure made me do this. And I couldn't see that that person was going to screw me over. And so I failed to see that. So we just basically bash ourselves like crazy. And that's not processing. As soon as you start to belittle yourself and you're giving yourself these sucker punches, you're only just driving deeper into the trauma. You're driving deeper into the drama of the trauma and nothing gets done. When you are processing, you are not blaming yourself. You are not pointing fingers at yourself. You're not pointing fingers at other people. You're processing. I just want you to feel. I want you to feel the regret, the trauma, the conflict. That's all we're doing. We're reacting to the RTC. Not judging ourselves, not blaming ourselves or others. We just feel it. We're just coming to terms with it. That's all. So you're correcting where you feel you have failed. So I'd say, all right, this has happened. What do you feel you can do right now that will make you feel better and bring this into closure? I think I need to make a phone call. I think I need to talk to my friend. I think I need to talk to my mom. I feel like I want to just get closure with this. Great. Do it. I want to be at peace with a loved one that passed because I wasn't able to make peace with them when they were here. And so, Brad, can you teach me how to do that? Yes. You go into meditation. You take a photo of that person. Maybe you take an item of what they've worn and just put that by your side as you meditate and talk to them. And just say whatever you need to say. Do whatever you need to do to bring in closure, to bring in the resolution, to bring in self-correction. So even though this is the self-correction process, self-correction actually happens as the third step. All right? So we are admitting our problem, we are processing the problem, and now we are correcting the problem. So we want to take forward action. Action is how we are correcting where we feel we have failed. So what can I do right now to attain self-correction so that I can bring this into resolution? Whatever it needs to be. Whether it's doing BCR technique, you want to go do that? Go do that. Do BCR technique. Fill yourself with happiness. Resolve that emotion. Resolve that conflict, that RTC. And if that's what you felt you needed to do, that comes through an action. So this third part of the self-correction process is the ability to correct where you feel you have failed. And now after you commit to that action, how are you feeling? I feel better. I feel like I needed to do this. I needed to meditate. I needed to pick up the phone. I needed to call somebody. I needed to drive over to somebody's house. I needed to talk to them. I needed to go within. I needed to talk to the spirit of my family member who passed away. I felt like I needed to go to work the next morning and just apologize to a coworker, to apologize to my boss. Whatever it may be, it can be anything. Just create that simple state of closure. It's that closure so that you're no longer feeling you have failed. Because as long as we go into that failure, we're living in the past. You're not present when you're constantly feeling failure. I failed here, I failed there, I failed. Because we're always saying, oh, I failed at this. I failed at that. I failed at being able to try and figure out that this is what I needed to do. We just continue to dwell on the past and we're not present. You are looking at that version of you in the past, and that version of you that you see is the apex of your failure. But we're not here to try and relive that past instance. That's not what it's about. We are here to be present. We are here to be now. If you failed, well, are you that essence of failure right now? No, you are the self-corrector right now. So we take action. Like I said, however you feel that needs to happen, BCR, phone call, talking to a person, whatever the action is, give yourself the commitment to act. Give yourself the will to act. Because now that you have done something, you feel within your heart, I've made an effort to correct this, regardless of the task. And only I myself can give me that correction. I can't go running off to somebody else and saying, what should I do? No, this is where you want to sit with yourself and saying, what can I do to obtain self-correction? Somebody could give you an idea, but that's like, no, I don't think that'll work because that doesn't feel right to me. You have to find out what feels right to you to obtain self-correction. Now that we go into self-correction, and now that we are able to correct where we feel we have failed, we're now able to go into the fourth state. So I'll clear the board here. And what would that fourth step, that fourth phase be? So we've gone into self-correction. We've done the self-correction process. And now, number 4, realization. We have reached realization, and through that, we have attained peace and resolve. Which means, pertaining to that RTC is now RIP. The RTC is now an RIP. We have been able to commemorate it with that rest in peace grave. Because now we've gone through self-correction. Now we've done the BCR technique. Now we've done conflict elimination. Now we've done cord removal healing. Now we've taken some sort of action that confirms to ourselves that we have resolved that. And now that I've resolved it, I realize what I was doing to myself. I realize how much misery I was putting on myself. There's that beautiful state of realization. It's like you're being born a second time. Where have we heard that before? Could that be in the Bible? Could that be what the great master Jesus once told everybody? I tell you the truth. In order for you to see the kingdom of heaven, you must be born a second time. Well, this is it. You are healing a mortal matter. You are healing a flesh matter. You are healing a human problem. And now you are rectifying that. You are realizing what you had to do. And now that you have brought it into peace and resolve and brought the RTC into RIP, there's that feeling of great joy. There's that feeling of great release. Inwardly, you're shining. And the more that we do this, with every particular RTC that we have, we are being born again by the Spirit. We are coming more and more into the realization to know that we are God. It is that realization to know that you are God, because this was not done by your intellect. Your ability to heal this, if we're just working with the intellect, we're just running around in circles. This becomes the intellect. Yeah, but then I did this, and then I tried to do that, then I had to have this happen, and this happened, and blah, 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 blah. That's what the intellect does. It's useless when it comes to this. You've got to put the intellect aside. Your feelings, your intuition, your heart is what's going to resolve this. This is what's going to put you through the self-correction process, not by running circles like a hamster on a wheel, not just wandering this endless maze that never seems to end. It continues to grow, continues to expand, continues to build these walls. I don't know when it ends, because that's what good old intellect does. It's not the solution. Intellect's what's got you into this problem in the first place. It's not for the inner work. And so many of us go back to it. Then I get it, I did this and I did that and this happened. I keep saying, you're going back into intellect again. You're living in the past again, and you're not present. You're too disturbed by the past, and you're too afraid of the future. Where's the present? Where's the now? Where are you in this moment? Are you using this very moment to go into the memories of the past, or to create thoughts where you're so completely afraid of what the future might hold, so that you're continuing to distract yourself and you're just making yourself more numb? Because that's what you're doing. It's about being present. It's about being here and now. Like we looked at in the previous steps. You want to correct where you feel you have failed. So, we admit that there's failure. There's no denying that. But rather than saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. No, here I am right now in this moment. What can I do to self-correct? This is what I can do. Here's BCR. Here's conflict elimination. Here's cord removal healing. Here's a phone call. Here's meditation. Here's talking to my friend. Here's talking to my neighbor. Here's talking to my parents. Here's going off into spirit and talking to a loved one that has passed. Here's being able to resolve. As I resolve, I now realize it really was quite simple for me to do this. The idea of being able to bring peace and resolution really isn't that difficult. It's really quite simple. The hardest part was for me to admit my failure. That's the hardest part of the inner journey, everybody. It's not this. That is so simple. I can teach a 3-year-old how to do this. The hardest part is for you to admit, for you to bare your soul, for you to open up, for you to grow past your pain. Go past the RTC. That's the hardest part. That's where people have the greatest difficulty. They don't want to feel like they're flawed. They don't. But they're living a human life. Of course you're flawed. Of course you have problems. You've been living a human life at the outside. And at the outside, you're going to accumulate all of these issues. You're going to get the RTC because you forgot what it is to live in here rather than live in here. The intellect will get me through it. Rationalization, practicality, that'll get me through it. Just constantly thinking myself half to death. Well, that'll get me through it. No, it won't. This is the hardest thing to do on the spiritual journey, is admittance. We want to just keep up appearances as often as possible. Yeah, I had that in the past, but I'm fine now, and I'm not going to worry about it, so I'll just stop talking about it. Yeah. There's a trigger right there. Yeah, I remember when my mom did this to me, and I was like, oh, shut up, because my mom did this something similar to me. Oh, wait, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm fine. And you start crying, oh, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm fine. You want to talk about, no, I'm fine, I'm perfect. I don't need to worry about this. You're going into that ignorance again and again and again because you don't want to do this. You don't want to admit. You don't want to come into that natural repentance. You have to admit where you have fallen. Right? It's like we're walking down the street, we trip over our own feet, we fall right into a mud puddle, but then we get up right away and just like act like nothing's happened. I'm okay. And you're covered in mud. Your friend turns around and says, what happened? Nothing happened to me. Why are you covered in mud? None of your business. Okay, let's keep going then, I guess. Right? Keeping up appearances is the veil of ignorance. That is a trap. You have to learn to humble yourself. You have to learn to open up. You have to learn to admit and to accept that these things have happened. That's how you clear away regret. The inability to heal a problem because you don't want to admit that you have a problem. But you cannot heal a problem by being the problem. So we have to get past that. We want to be here. We want that admittance, and nobody can make you admit something. That has to come through your own softness. That needs to come through your humility. Until you finally admit something, then you're in the process of going free. Because this is so easy. This is so simple. Realization is already within you. It's not something you have to obtain. You are the realization. You're even beyond realization. You just are. But now you're coming through this by looking at this in a linear fashion, looking at this from a human perspective. We say realization. We have all these problems, yes, and beyond the human equation, you're beyond all those things as well too. But what's stopping you is that you are still denying that these things have happened to you. You're covering up the failure in the dirt. You're burying it. And that's not the divine way of doing things. The divine doesn't cover anything up. It's not like, okay, don't look at this. But you're the divine. Yeah, I'm the divine. But don't look at this. Why can't I look? None of your business. Don't look. Turn your head. But you're the divine. Oh, shh. Okay, is God doing that? Is the divine doing that? Oh, don't look over here. Oh. Keep moving. Nothing to see here. Please disperse.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Keep moving. Stop talking. Stop thinking. Be quiet. Well, the divine would certainly not be the divine. That's finiteness. And that is sabotage. And that is just going to create collapse. That is not how the divine works, everybody. So why are we doing it? We keep saying so much. We have all these memes on Facebook. We have all these memes on social media about all this divine wisdom. Then I start talking to these people, and they again are holding everything in. Right? Why are you putting out these memes? Why are you doing these videos? Why are you putting all these things together when you're not walking your own talk? When you're not actually doing the work? And you put this big angelic, here's the 333, here's the 1111, and be gracious to people and be gracious to yourself and blah, blah, blah. Are you doing that? No, not at all, but I like the way the meme sounds. So we get into this hypocritical behavior. If you truly want to bring about divination, everything that represents the divine, you need to go through the process of self-correction. You need to admit your faults. You need to admit the RTC. No matter how deep and how tragic it is. I'm not saying you need to pick up a megaphone and tell everybody about it, but it's for yourself. This is not for you to go into the rooftops and say, hey, everybody, I did this horrible thing when I was a kid, and here's what I did. I would never expect you to do that. Okay? But it's for your own sake. It's for you to admit what you have denied. It is for you to admit what you have covered up with ignorance. And that is self-correction. We go into the self-correction process. And as you go into the self-correction process, as you realize that, yes, I've had RTC, had the regrets, the traumas, the conflicts, I admit that I have that. Oh, good. That's really, really good. I'm glad that you have that. Now we really need to feel it out, right? We have to go into our problems and we have to look into it. We have to see this. We have to see what we truly are. We have to go into that state of self-correction. We have to move into it. This is so very important that we need to do this. So even though I give you the self-correction process, you have to do the work. You have to go into admittance. You have to come into acceptance. And when you're able to do that, you're going to want to do this again and again and again for every single RTC that you have. Admitting that RTC, going into the process, being able to atone, to heal, to correct and get closure so that you can come here and you can be at peace. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care and be well. Thank you very much for checking out the New Earth Teachings YouTube channel. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you can check out the websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can order a private session, 3 questions by email, EQ method, and a lot more. And you can also check out healingcodecards.com, where you can grab your mind deck, your body deck, and of course the brand new Body Deck Special Edition. All of these are available in digital editions as well. And you can also get a shirt just like this through healingcodeshop.com, where you can experience the healing codes in apparel form. So feel free to check out these websites. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Be well.